So let the mods begin. So first off, I took the air cleaner off so I can get a look at this fiery 2-barrel right here. It looks like it's got a few just leaks, just normal, because it was put on here in the early 80s as a reman carburetor, and it's just got some telltale signs of seals. It's gotten old and everything, so I'm trying to tighten those down and clean it up, see if that helps. That fuel filter don't look that fresh, so I'm gonna get a new fuel filter, which is just an inline. I haven't pulled the plugs and all that yet, but that's probably next. The biggest thing was the battery cable here. If you can see this, that looks absolutely terrible. So I'm actually gonna pull this cable off. It goes way down the starter. While I was in there, they had a cable that was going from the battery to ground right here on the head, and it was a red wire, which is right here. And of course, you know, the red's positive, black's ground. They had this extra wire coming off to go to the body, and this was just a quick disconnect. You could actually hook the battery up and pretty quick like that. So I'm going to keep that. It's kind of cool. This wire actually went from the battery, and they spliced it at one point and went all the way over here to the solenoid that feeds the starter. While this isn't too bad, I don't like the different colored and crimps in these connections, but also the wire that comes off here and goes down to the starter, number one, it's really old, and number two, if you can kind of see that, it's got some just kind of wear in it, see there? So I'm gonna change all this. So you know me, I don't want my new car to burn up, so I'm gonna redo the wires. So the wire from the starter solenoid down to the starter, and then the main feed wire from the battery here, because it's all nasty, and fix that. And then change the ground wire, made a nice new black wire that's gonna go here. I ordered a set of valve covers for it. They're the nice Moroso blue ones, which are, I think they have steel in them, so you can't compress them like these cork ones, which are notorious for compressing and leaking. So I'm gonna change those. They should be here tomorrow. Also got some studs to hold the valve cover on a little better than bolts. Again, I'm not doing a concours restoration on this thing. I'm just gonna make it where it doesn't leak. And I think some of this build up here is just where the carburetor's been leaking a little bit, so I gotta clean all that up. So next thing is pull the plug, see how they look, get these wires off. These wires are definitely not the freshest, so I'll change them too. It's easy tune-up stuff and go from there. So start the project. Oh, and the battery, here's the battery, date code October 2015. So even though it's working, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it and get a brand new fresh battery for the car, because I don't want to be out somewhere and get stranded. Anyway, the original radiator is actually in the car, and I can see telltale signs. I don't know if you can see down in there, a little bit of green, and at the bottom a little bit of green, which means it's got a very, very slight leak. Not enough to really leak on the ground, but you can kind of see down here, it's a little wet, little remnants. So being the original one, I'm trying to see if I can get this thing rebuilt. See right here, the Chrysler symbol on it, instead of getting aftermarket. So we'll see. And yeah, that's pretty much it so far. Everything else looks pretty good. All right, stay tuned. Can you see that? This is the end at the starter. See where it's all deteriorated, but look at the cable. That is not good, no bueno. And then if you follow the cable down, right here, it's actually got a split in it. See there? Not only is it corroded, but it's actually split. Look, it just pulls right off. Look at those wires. That builds up a lot of resistance of all that corrosion. But the problem is, you see this? This could actually touch the body, and this could be a fire. So if you got a hot rod, you got a car that's 50 years old, it's a good idea to change all the wires on it, so you don't have something like this burn your precious ride to the ground. So obviously this is going in the pile of garbage. So here's your ground wire that was red instead of black. Here's your power wire that was corroded and split. And here's your other wire going to solenoid that was spliced at some time with a butt splice. But just look at that on the end that's hooked to the battery. I mean, that is not what you want to keep the resistance low on your wires and keep as much voltage as you can going to your parts. So I'm gonna fix it and not burn my hot rod to the ground. So anyway, there we go. Getting close. Still got to pull this wire off that goes to the solenoid. Like I say, it's just old, needs to come off. I need to put some new stuff on it. So don't trust it, gotta go. All right. Famous words from Fast and Furious. That's why she's spitting. Oh man. Hadn't seen a 13/16 head plug in a long time though. Apparently they were running champion plugs in this thing, N12YC, which you can see has the washer on it, and it's flat. It's not tapered like a lot of these new style cars are. And it definitely has been in here for a minute. So I'm gonna go get a fresh set of plugs while I'm at the store, along with the new fuel filter. And I'm getting ready to pop that cap off and let's see what that looks like. Unfortunately, this isn't what I was looking for. What we got here, kids, that's your points. And there's a gap you have to set it with. And yeah, I don't really care for that. I like to upgrade to electronic ignition, so I am gonna see what we got here. Pull the rotor button off. It's got a little wear on it, so we'll get a new one. And then if you look at the cap, it's got a little carbon tracking in it, a little bit of wear. So we'll get a new cap while we're there too. All right, back from the O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's the battery cable that I got for it. 4 gauge, 38 inches long. This is it. All right, nice and red. This will go directly to the starter. And then this is going to be the ground wire, and it's black the way it's supposed to be. This is the wire I have to make that goes over from the battery to the regulator. So I'm going to make my own. And I've got some nice weatherproof crimp terminals here to make it with. While I was there, I got a new fuel filter. Went ahead and sprung for the inline clear one so I can see what the fuel looks like. And got a new set of spark plugs, this bad boy. Had champions in it. Ended up getting NGK. I like NGK. And these are 1 step colder. So you know what that means. More time and more power. Alright. Alright, so I've run my new battery cable all the way down, hooked to the starter. Then I had to run a wire to the regulator, which is here. Ran it around, put some heat shrink on it, because I'm going to put this in to the crimp connector, which came on here. And then once it's all crimped and good, heat shrink over it, keep that moisture out so we don't have any problems down the road. So we'll put that in here like this. See if you can see that. Put that in there like so. Get it all the way in there as tight as we can. Take our fancy crimpers here. And let's see if we can get that in there tight. Push that. And then clamp it down. Good to go. I always like to do it twice just to make sure. Okay. Let's pull it. Not coming out. Okay, good. And because I don't trust somebody else's crimp, let's crimp theirs too. All right, crimped. Let's see if my heat shrink will go over it. It will. Look just like that. Get it center way. Take my heat gun and get that on down when I'm good and ready. So, all right. Now, have the ground cable which is, move the camera around a little bit. Ground cable, which is here. It's gonna go right here to the head and then over here to the battery. So now black for ground, a black chassis ground here as well. Then the main power to the battery, and then here to the regulator. So, all right, getting close. Very worn. Bad thing is, look at these boots. This one right here looked really bad. By comparison, that's the old, this is the new. Little Anna C's never hurt nobody. Gapped it at 35 thousandths, which is what the manual calls for. And away we go. Perfection. All right, so now it's got a brand new clear filter going to the carburetor. So now I can see the fuel flow and make sure it's nice and clean. Now I just need to clean up the little bit of gas I spilled down there. So to recap, we've got, see how this works. We got new spark plugs, gap to 35 thousandths, one heat range colder than stock. We have a new fuel filter on the car. We have a brand new battery. We have brand new battery power cables to the starter and the regulator, and brand new ground cables going to the motor. So this is how it looks. Quick tune up tonight. I'll get around to messing with the carburetor some, and definitely gonna get rid of that old points and condenser distributor setup there. So we're definitely gonna get an electronic upgrade for it. Also, I noticed these hoses are real brittle and they just look really old. So I'm gonna change all the heater hoses on it, and the vacuum hoses will probably need to be changed too. So I know right now the headlights do work, and the doors actually open the way they're supposed to. So at least right now I'm gonna do all the maintenance stuff that would keep you from being on the side of the highway. So we didn't want to have a fire, so we took care of the battery cables. We have a brand new battery. Since the one there was 5 years old, it was prone to go out anytime. Put any spark plugs in it. The ones in there look really old. I got to order some wires. The wires that were on here, a couple of them didn't look very good. And again, figured out that it's got the old points distributor and all in it. So definitely gonna change that out and put electronic upgrade in it. And we'll go from there. We'll try to get this thing running tip top and good to go, and see what this thing will do with the almighty 2 barrels of fury right there on that 318 monster. So stay tuned, more for the Charger and the iconic Charger grill. Yeah. All right, so had to wait a day Got some new valve cover gaskets for the car and studs I'm going to put in the valve covers to hold them down better than bolts. So I'm getting ready to take it apart, change those out, and get rid of an annoying oil leak. All right, so it's the next day. Test drive with the girls wasn't very successful. We made it home, but the car started spewing antifreeze everywhere. And I knew it wasn't terrible. The temperature never got up over normal in the car, so I knew all that was working. What I found out was these heater hoses, which I'd planned to change, but I didn't for our test drive. You see right there? It actually split. And that's where it was just all over the motor and making a mess. So easy enough to change. I bought new hoses, but you can see how this is all swollen and everything. See how this is all swollen and everything. Anyway, it's burst there and sprayed the whole engine. Of course, it makes a heck of a mess. So anyway, I am getting ready to pull all the hoses off now. Change all those out so we have fresh hoses. I've already changed the plugs in it, like I told you. Waiting for the other tune-up parts to come in with the coil and wires and things like that. So I want to show you a trick to getting off old rubber hoses. So over time, old rubber hoses like this, they get on the fittings and they kind of form to the fitting and they're super tight. Maybe sometimes you can turn them, move them and break them loose, but sometimes maybe they don't even turn at all. They're kind of seized onto the fitting. So what you do is you take a razor blade like this and you basically cut on the edge and make an opening, and then it actually comes off no problem. So let me show you what I got here. So coming out of this, I think this is called the heater control that goes to the heater core. So what I did was they wouldn't come off. So I actually cut it right here and then it popped right off. So I just got through cutting this one like so. And so now I'm gonna try to twist it and see, it pops right off. So one thing to tell here, see how they're all swollen and nasty? Yeah, these hoses have been on here for a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change all these hoses out. I got some universal hose. Hopefully I can make that bend without it collapsing. If not, I might have to order this special hose from Dodge. But anyway, the hose saga continues. But I thought that little trick might help you. So you're not just pulling and pulling and, you know, either getting frustrated or starting to mess up the item it's attached to, like your heater core. Okay. That looks pretty rusty and muddy there. All right. Well, I appreciate your advice on that. I'm gonna, now that I know that was a shutoff valve keeping my heat from working, I'll at least hook it up with new hoses and get the heat to work for the winter time, and in the summer, maybe I'll figure out how to change that box and make it work the right way.
Yeah, it's time consuming, but you can get it done. But okay. That's what they used to do years ago. If there was a problem in there, they used to bypass the heater.
Gotcha. All right, I laugh because you identified it right away. Oh man.
Well, what it is, you know, I worked on those old cars.
Right. Kelly was saying that's what you basically learned on was the Dodges. Is that right?
Right. Well, I learned on all of them, but yeah, I worked on a lot of the Dodges.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised when I took the cap off the distributor and it still had the point style ignition in it. And I don't like to fool with that stuff. So they have an electronic module.
Electronic thing you can install in it.
It drops right in place. Yep, that should be here this week. So I got a new one coming in for that. A new coil, new wires. I just put plugs in it. So I figured just doing that will help a lot.
Yeah, you're better off with your electronics.
Yeah. So the only other thing is it's got 2-into-1 exhaust. So right off the engine, it goes over to one pipe, and I swear the pipe isn't more than 2 inches diameter. It's super small pipe.
They're small pipes.
Yeah. So I thought about
1 3/4.
Oh wow. I know it's look. I was shocked, so I'm gonna put some duals on here, probably 2.5 out the back.
Yeah, duals don't hurt.
Yeah. I figured 2.5 was pretty standard for an old hot rod.
Yeah, but it ain't hot rod. It's
Damn! Don't burn me like that. This is grandma car I got. So did you know a Motorcraft FL1A filter will fit this car? So guess what it's getting? Getting some Ford parts. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't know if this thing will do a burnout. We're about to find out. Nope. Well, maybe it will.